"You betrayed us," said Tarvitz, the hurt and disappointment almost too much to bear. "You killed your own men and let Eidolon and his warriors into the palace, didn't you?" "I did," said Lucius, swinging his sword in loops around his body as he loosened his muscles in preparation for the fight Tarvitz knew must come next. "And I'd do it again in a heartbeat." Tarvitz circled the edge of the dome, his steps in time with those of the swordsman. He had no illusion as to the outcome of the fight. Lucius was the preeminent blade master of the Legion, perhaps all the legions. He knew he could not defeat Lucius, but this betrayal demanded retribution. Honor must be satisfied. "Why Lucius?" asked Tarvitz. "How can you ask me that, Saul?" demanded Lucius, drawing the circle closer and step by step. The distance between the two warriors shrank. "I am only here thanks to my misplaced acquaintance with you. I know what the Lord Commander and Fabius offered you. How could you turn such an opportunity down?" "It was an abomination, Lucius," said Tarvitz, knowing he had to keep Lucius talking for as long as he could. "To tamper with the gene seed. How can you possibly believe that the Emperor could condone such a thing?" "The Emperor? Are you so sure he would disapprove? Look at what he did to create the Primarchs. Aren't we the result of genetic manipulation? The experiments Fabius is conducting are the logical next link in that evolutionary chain. We are a superior race, and we must establish that superiority over any lesser beings that stand in our way. Even your fellow warriors," spat Tarvitz, gesturing to the corpses around the dome's circumference with the blade of his sword. Lucius shrugged. "Even them. I am going to rejoin my legion, and they tried to stop me. What choice did I have? Just like you are going to try and stop me." "You'll kill me too?" asked Tarvitz. "After all the years we fought together." "Don't try and appeal to my sense of fond reminiscences, Saul," warned Lucius. "I'm better than you, and I'm going to achieve great things in the service of my legion. Neither you or any foolish sense of misplaced loyalty are going to stop me." Lucius lifted the blade of his sword and dropped into a fighting crouch as Tarvitz approached him. The dome seemed suddenly silent as the two combatants circled one another, each searching for a weakness in the other's defenses. Tarvitz drew his combat knife in his left hand and reversed the blade, knowing he would need as many blades between him and Lucius as humanly possible. Tarvitz knew there were no more words to be spoken. This could only end in blood. Without warning, he leapt towards Lucius, thrusting with the smaller blade. But even as he attacked, he saw that Lucius had been expecting it. Lucius swayed aside and swept the hilt of his sword down, smashing the knife from his hand. The swordsman ducked as Tarvitz turned on his heel and slashed high with his sword. Tarvitz's blade cut only air, and Lucius hammered his elbow into his side. He danced away, expecting Lucius to land a blow, but the swordsman merely smiled and danced around him lightly on the balls of his feet. Lucius was playing with him, and he felt an anger mount in the face of such mockery. Lucius advanced towards Tarvitz, darting in with the speed of a striking snake to thrust at his stomach. Tarvitz blocked the thrust, rolling his wrists over Lucius' blade and slashing for his neck, but the swordsman had anticipated the move and nimbly dodged the blow. Tarvitz attacked suddenly, his blade a flashing blur of steel that forced Lucius back step by step. Lucius parried a vicious slash aimed at his groin, spinning with a laugh to launch a lightning riposte at his foe. Tarvitz saw the blade cut the air towards him, knowing he was powerless to prevent it landing. He hurled himself back, but felt a red-hot line of agony as the energized edge bit deep into his side. He clamped a hand to his side as blood spilled down his armor, gasping in pain before his armor dispensed stimulants that blocked it. Tarvitz backed away from Lucius, and the swordsman followed with a grin of anticipation. "If that's the best you've got, Saul, then you'd best give up now," smirked Lucius. "I promise I'll make it quick." I was just about to say the same thing, Lucius, gasped Tarvitz, lifting his sword once again. The two warriors clashed once more, their swords shimmering streaks of silver and blue as coruscating sparks spat from their blades. Tarvitz fought with every ounce of courage, strength, and skill he could muster, but he knew it was hopeless. Lucius parried his every attack with ease, and casually landed cut after cut on his flesh, enough to draw blood and hurt, but not enough to kill. Blood gathered in the corner of his mouth as he staggered away from yet another wounding blow. "A hit," sniggered Lucius. "A palpable hit." Tarvitz knew he was fighting with the last of his reserves, and the fight could not go on much longer. Soon, Lucius would tire of his poor sport and finish him, but perhaps he had held him here for long enough. "Had enough?" coughed Tarvitz. "You don't have to die here." Lucius cocked his head to one side as he advanced towards him and said, "You're serious, aren't you? You actually think you can beat me?" Tarvitz nodded and spat blood. "Come on and have a go, if you think you can kill me." Lucius leapt forwards to attack, and Tarvitz dropped his sword and leapt to meet him. Surprised by such an obviously suicidal move, Lucius was a fraction of a second too late to dodge Tarvitz's attack. The two warriors clashed in the air, and Tarvitz smashed his fist into the swordsman's face. Lucius turned his head to rob the blow of its force, but Tarvitz gave him no chance to right himself as they fell to the floor, and pistoned his fist into his former comrade's face. Lucius' sword skittered away, and they fought with fists and elbows, knees and feet. At such close quarters, skill with a blade was irrelevant, and Tarvitz let his hate and anger spill out in every thunderous hammer blow he landed. They rolled and grappled like brawling street thugs, Tarvitz punching Lucius with powerful blows that would have killed a mortal man a dozen times over, the swordsman struggling to push Tarvitz clear. "I also remember what Loken taught you the first time he brought you down," gasped Tarvitz as he saw movement at the edge of the dome. "Understand your foe and do whatever is necessary to bring him down." He released his grip on Lucius and rolled clear, pushing himself as far away from the swordsman as he could. Lucius sprang to his feet in an instant, scrambling across the floor to retrieve his weapon. "Now, Solothen," shouted Tarvitz, "kill him. He betrayed us all." He watched as Lucius turned towards the dome's entrance, seeing the warriors Solothen had rallied and brought to him. Solothen obeyed Tarvitz's command instantly, as a good emperor's children should, and the dome was suddenly filled with the bark of gunfire. Lucius dived out of the way, but even he wasn't quick enough to avoid a volley of bolter shells. Lucius jerked and danced in the fusillade, sparks and blood flying from his armor. He rolled across the floor, scrabbling for a hole in the wall, blasted by the months of battle as the gunfire of the loyalist emperor's children tore into him. "Kill him!" yelled Tarvitz. But Lucius was faster than he would have believed possible, diving from the dome as shells tore up scorched frescoes around him. Tarvitz pushed himself to his feet and staggered over towards where Lucius had escaped. Beyond the dome, the outer precincts of the palace were a nightmarish landscape of craters and blackened ruins. A pall of smoke hung over the battlefield the palace had become, and he smashed his fist into the wall in frustration as he saw that the swordsman had vanished. "Captain Tarvitz," said Solothen, reporting as ordered. Tarvitz turned from his search for Lucius, pushing his frustrations aside and focusing on the more immediate matter of counter-attacking Eidolon's warriors. "My thanks, Solothen. I owe you my life," he said. The warrior nodded as Tarvitz picked up a fallen bolter and checked the magazine to make sure he had a full load. "Now come on," he said grimly. "Let's show these bastards how the real Emperor's children fight."